And we're live. Happy Wednesday, everybody. It's Independence Day weekend. Independence Day is tomorrow. So I hope everyone's doing something fun. Do not blow your fingers off with a firecracker. Okay? Don't do it.
Don't pull a Jason Pierre-Paul.
Well, it's just one of those things. You gotta once you light that fuse, get rid of it. Right? It's not.
I almost blew my fingers off one time. Well, it wasn't big enough to blow my fingers off, but I could see how it could happen if you're dumb, like I was, and if you use a sparkler to light your barrel bomb or M80 or whatever it is, cherry bomb, then you can't tell when the fuse is lit because the sparkler is so bright. The fuse is much less bright than the sparkler, and so I had a firecracker go off in my hand that way, but obviously not enough to take off a finger. But I guess I shouldn't be too critical when I could see how it could happen.
Well, it could happen in many ways. Wow, I gotta put a set of earbuds on that so it'll stay quiet. But we got Dingleberry Sports Highlights. What's good, buddy? Go check him out. A whole bunch of shorts. We got Bebop. What's good, man? And Philly Special Card Spongy. Spongy, this means you. Do not blow your fingers off with a firecracker, buddy.
Too young. Can't be going through life without fingers for that long.
Oh, he's growing up, though. He just got his last 2 baby teeth pulled today.
Oh, so is he 14 now?
I think he's in that age range, But
right,
I don't hold being a Eagles fan being against him. It's everyone has their thing. My daughter's a Cowboys fan. A lot of people don't know that, but now. Her husband's a 49ers fan, though, so she does have good taste, right?
There you go.
And her mom was a Cowboys fan. We were in a long-term relationship a long time ago. But, shout out to everyone in Belize and then, the middle America, because there is a hurricane heading your way. If you are watching this, please pay attention to local weather broadcasts and see what's going on in your area to see what you need to do to be safe. Okay? We don't want to see anything bad happen to anyone. So, right now my daughters they're going to be on the edge of it in the tropical storm. So, but they still, got the whole place ready just like it's going to hit, just in case. You never know, right?
Hurricane Beryl, huh? Spelled differently. It's the French spelling of barrel. It was my grandma's middle name with that spelling. Oddly enough.
Spongy says he will not pull a Jason Pierre-Paul. Good. But yeah, it's independence. What the Niners and IU, they had them a meeting, right?
Mm-hmm. Nothing.
And I've heard a lot of speculation because how many people were actually in this meeting, but I've heard a lot of speculation about what happened in the meeting.
Oh yeah,
and I'm honestly just waiting for some announcement to be made. That's what I'm waiting for. So you got to get all the language right and the language of the contract and all that stuff. But I'm honestly thinking it was a productive meeting. So you and me, we've had them between 26 and 28 million, right? So he might be a hair over that, like 28.5 ish.
That's what Raj says.
With Armand St. Brown ish, I'm saying ish because I don't think he'll quite hit that number in guaranteed money.
I don't know. I think he said it himself. Brandon Ayuk did that. He is just kind of enjoying being in the limelight, having everybody talking about him for once, not being second or third or fourth fiddle to Kittle and Debo and CMC and whatnot. And so I think he just wants to milk it as long as he can to keep his name on ESPN every day. Every day he gets up and people are talking about what's Brandon Ayuk going to do? What's Brandon Ayuk going to do? So, and you know me, I thought all along that he wanted to be a Niner and the Niners wanted him and the deal would get done. Yeah, 26. I mean, I think 28 honestly is a little rich. I think it'll be 26 or 27 is sort of where I am.
Yeah, I think it's going to hit the 28.5 range.
So you're with Raj. All right.
Um,
you guys are ganging up on me here. I see. All right.
Well, kind of. It's not what you know; it's who you know. So I'm just waiting for the announcement.
David
and
McNiner
the language of the contract to get worked out.
Has sauces. I definitely. I just have hunches. That's all I have.
I'm thinking it'll take probably till end of next week to get that language worked out. We should hear an announcement here shortly. But
that would be just before rookies report to OTAs. So, or not OTAs, but to training camp.
Well, and the way I look at it is either way, he's making that much money. I'm kind of thinking we're about to sign Brock Purdy. Now, the Eagles, shout out to the Sponge here.
He says he heard it didn't go well.
They're paying 2 wide receivers. Yes. Yeah, that's what a lot of people reported, but a lot of people also reported that it did go well. So, I wouldn't worry about any
Sponge of that. Is, if he's in Philly, then he's kind of close to Pittsburgh. And I think a lot of people in Pittsburgh are hoping they get Brandon Ayuk. So maybe there's like some osmosis from the eastern part of the state. The Pittsburgh, Western Pennsylvania is rubbing off on Sponge in Eastern Pennsylvania there. So
it could be. Their broadcasters, the reporters that cover them have been hammering for either Debo or Ayuk. Like they'll take either one. And it's like, why should we trade them? Like trade them for draft picks? How's that going to help us right now? It's not. And that would be the only way I would be willing to trade Ayuk is if we're getting a guy that could help us right now and is under team control for a couple seasons.
Well, the reason why is because if we pay Brandon Ayuk even the low end of my range of 26 mil, then you got him at 26 and Debo at like 23, 24. 50 mil to your top 2 wide receivers is a lot. I mean, you're right. You mentioned it's less than the Eagles who are paying, I think, A.J. Brown like 30 or 31 and Devontae Smith 26. So they're like 56, 57 mil for their top 2 guys.
And they're paying Hurts, I think it's $52 million a season. I think I just looked at their contracts on Monday.
Sort of. I mean, they are, but they got a lot of void years on that. And apparently it really doesn't get too punitive until like 2025 or 2026. So they really kick the can down the road with Hurts's contract. So regardless of how they do over the next couple of years, like they're going to be paying for him either when he's not playing or on top of a new deal that he's making at that time, which will be a kind of a double whammy for them. So, that's the most backloaded QB contract I've ever heard of. Jalen Hurts.
And well, I honestly don't like how the current CBA and the current salary cap is kind of structured, because it's like Armstead is a prime example for us. He was scheduled to make 28. We're like, bro, can you take a pay cut? Because, he has plantar fasciitis. It's obvious he's not going to be playing a full season. And, they wanted to add pieces, and they wanted to use his money to add pieces. And he said no. So they ended up, letting him go post June 1st, cut day, and he ended up in Jacksonville. But now we're taking dead money over the next 2 seasons for him, right? And that's what I don't like about it. You know, yeah, let's take a dead cap hit for a season, but for multiple seasons, it's like how long was his contract? Wasn't it up after next season, or was it longer?
I don't remember, honestly.
I believe his contract actually expired after this year, and and that was it. But now we're taking dead money for 2 years for him. It's like his contract was going to expire, and that's what I don't like about how everything's structured. You know, like D Ford, great player when he was on the field, but he couldn't stay on the field, and we were paying for him until 2023.
It was just because we again didn't want to pay the piper right that time, and so we kicked the can down the road. And yeah, I don't believe that there's any other. Well, of course, sorry. Every time we restructure, there's something like that. So Kittle's got something like that going on, and Fred and everybody else that we've restructured recently.
And but on top of all that, like say a player retires, like Trent Williams, we're going to be taking a dead cap hit for him, right? And it's like the Niners didn't cut him; he retired. This is part of the structuring I don't like. If a player chooses to walk away, it shouldn't cost the team anything on the salary cap because he's choosing to walk away. If there's some guaranteed money they end up paying him out, all right, let him pay him out. Why not? Okay, we'll take that. But taking a dead cap hit for like 2 seasons afterwards because the guy, walked away from his contract, that's just not right. What that's doing is that's actually hurting the NFL players because now that money won't be allocated to other players, right?
Right.
So what I'm saying is I don't know when the CBA is up. I haven't looked. That's something I could actually look at. But this is something that they need to think about reworking. How all that's structured, how all that works out. Because ultimately, all this dead money, you're literally hurting the players. You're not hurting the team. You're not hurting the owner, but you're hurting the players because they're not going to get more money allocated to other players because there's no money to do it. So
yeah, I hear you. I mean, and I hear you that it's painful to have it stretched over years, but as long as the amount is the same, then what year they decide to take it, I guess that's part of the strategy of figuring out when is the best time, and usually that's later as the cap goes up because it goes up every year. So $3 million dead cap hit this year hurts more than a $3 million dead cap hit next year by just a small incremental amount, but it's still slightly less painful. Plus, you never know, you might be able to cut an Eric Armstead or whatnot. Or let him waive him or whatever the technical term is for it.
yeah, it's just ultimately the owners and the players, they negotiate all this out, right? The lawyers get involved, and then they end up negotiating. Sometimes there's a strike, sometimes there's not. I remember back in remember Jim Harbaugh's first year, right? We still had Alex Smith, and that was a strike year, like his first year when we signed him. And I remember there was a bunch of reports. Oh, the Niners can't even hand Alex Smith a playbook until the CBA's worked out. And it was like, what? But that's the way it is, right? Like Jerry Rice, remember that 22 touchdown season? That was a 14 game season, shortened by a strike. Who knows what would have happened if he would have played all 16, right?
Oh, we know.
And it's just, it's kind of like that. Why don't you guys start negotiating ahead of time? And I don't know when the CBA expires. That's actually an excellent question. I'm going to find out.
You really think a strike is a possible outcome for all this?
I don't think so, because ultimately the players want to get paid, and they're not getting paid when if they're not working and there's no CBA, right?
Yeah, I mean, I just haven't even thought about a strike in years, so it just kind of caught me off guard. I wasn't sure what to make of it, to be honest.
Oh, all right. We have to live with the current structure until 2031.
Well, that's a ways off.
That is a ways off. But yeah, I got someone knocking at my door. I'll be right back.
All right, I'll handle it. Well, let's say hi real quick to CarCast in the house. He's saying, yo. Crazy Juice in the house. Saying, sup, McNiner and Ted. Yeah, we got should have hit mute. All right. Well, anyway, we got really not a ton of 49ers. Maybe this is a good time for me to talk a little bit about Klay Thompson. The Warriors made him an offer, and he took a slightly inferior offer from the Dallas Mavericks to go play with Luka Doncic, to break up the Splash Brothers, to break up the big three of Steph, Clay, and Dre. And it's a sad moment for Warriors fans because obviously, and also for Bob Myers, the Warriors GM. That was Bob Myers' first really notable draft pick, was Klay Thompson and then Draymond Green, because Steph was already on the team before Bob Myers became the GM. But
that's actually that's kind of crazy, because he's been a lifelong Warrior. Now he's going to be a Maverick, right?
Yeah, I just say anybody but the Lakers, because there's so many damn Lakers 49ers fans. It drives me bananas. And Lakers or 49ers Dodgers fans too. I'm like, if you're a San Francisco Giants fan, you can't abide by Dodgers fans. That's like one of the bitterest rivalries in all of sports.
And it is. I remember a long time ago there was an incident,
Yeah, with Brian Stowe.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's kind of that is kind of sad, and if you think about it, he took a slightly inferior deal, but with the tax situation in the two states, he might actually be taking home more.
Oh, that's a good thing to point out, and cost of living too.
Mm-hmm.
Although there's some pretty nice ritzy neighborhoods in Dallas, that's for sure. Plano, and what's the name of the place I'm trying to think of? Plano is nice, but it's not really nice. It's blanking on it. Anyway, bottom line is it's sad, and but on the other hand, I was kind of saying, I thought for the Warriors to be the best team they could be, they needed to let Klay go, because the kind of money that they offered him and the Mavs offered him, I don't think he's worth that right now. And so I just assumed that Joe Lacob would keep the big three together for at least one more season, even if it was a lost season, just for sentimental sake, just because of the 4 rings and whatnot. But they didn't, and the Warriors may be the better team this season because of it. We'll see.
Well, in the NBA, I mean, the salaries are fully guaranteed. There's no ifs, ands, or buts, right?
Correct.
I mean, that's kind of the same thing with baseball, I think. Those guys that, holy crap, we want to talk about bad contract situations.
No doubt.
A lot of time, the guy hits free agency at 30, and then he signs a 12-year contract, you're going to play what? A little bit over half that contract before you go downhill and end up either getting cut or retiring. But either way, the team's going to be on the hook for that whole contract, right?
Correct. Spongy says Clay didn't like the Wiggins extension. I didn't even realize that Wiggins was extended. I was Clay and Wiggins were two of the people that were sort of on the potentially chopping block, cutting room floor, whatever. I mean, I think extending Wiggins, I would say it makes more sense because he's younger than Clay and in better shape. But Wiggins, the problem with Wiggins is he just some days he shows up and some days he doesn't. He's very hot and cold. You never know who you're getting with him. And pretty much every other season besides the last ring that the Warriors won against the Celtics, where they beat the Mavs. I was at Game 5 at Chase Center when we closed out the Mavericks, and he was like almost co-MVP with Steph of those playoffs in the finals. He was definitely our second best player on the Warriors overall in those playoffs. But every other year before and since, he's just like, sometimes he's there, sometimes he's not, and there's no consistency. And he also had some things with some family issues the last two seasons where he took time away from the team, extended periods of time, 2 years in a row. And, I don't know, nobody else does that. So, I mean, maybe he's going through a ton of stuff. Nobody really knows because there's not a lot of visibility as to what it really was that is going on. But it's odd. And then coupled with the up and down play, I could see why Clay would be upset about Wiggins getting extended. I'll just say that.
Did you see this?
Talked on his pod and said that he was a Grizzly before they traded Poole last year. I did not hear it. The Draymond was a Grizzly, huh? Interesting. No, I did not see that. That'd be crazy with him and Jaren Jackson on the same team. That's a lot of defense and not a lot of scoring because they're kind of the same player. Jaren Jackson's a little more offensive minded than Draymond, but they're both Michigan State guys and Tom Izzo. And I guess the main guy is blanking on his name. The main guy from the Grizzlies who got caught with the guns.
Got caught with the guns.
Yeah.
Like what? Getting on a plane or something?
I forget what the details were. But he's like their main star. He's like a great in the lane, not Ja Morant. That's the name I was trying to think of. Yeah, Ja got busted. Yeah, there we go. Yeah, Philly's got Spongy's got it. It was weird when we played the Grizzlies and Ja got hurt, and the Grizzlies played us tougher without him because he doesn't play much defense. Ja, he's a very gifted and talented scorer, especially just sort of gliding through the lane. But when it comes time to D up, he's a little bit of a liability. And so I was like, I think we were 2-1 against them with him in, and then 1-2 against them with them out, and we blew them out with him in, and they blew us out with him out. And so it's pretty much like you could really make an argument that they were better off without Ja. I mean, it's not realistically true, especially not over a long period of time, but in a small sample size of 6 games, it definitely appeared that way statistically. So,
well, the NBA, the last couple times I've watched an NBA game, it's like, do these guys play defense anymore? Because no. I used to watch it when I was young, and that's in the 90s. The era of Michael Jordan and like Karl Malone, John Stockton, all those teams that could play defense, right? And now it's kind of
Charles Oakley, John Sally.
Oh yeah. The New York Knicks were mean,
and the Pistons, the bad boy Pistons were. Yeah, they beat up Michael Jordan for a number of years there before they finally got a team around MJ. Yeah.
Yeah, that's back then. Yeah, you're not getting called for a flagrant unless the guy is like on the floor not getting up, or it was kind of it was a little different. Not like the NFL. The NFL is drastically different, but it was a little bit different. Now if you follow a guy a certain way, and this is like I said, I don't follow the NBA. I'm just learning this stuff. If you follow a guy a certain way, it's a flagrant, even if he doesn't end up, like hitting the floor. It doesn't look too hard, right? Like if you bump into his head or something like that, right?
It's pretty much forcible contact to the head. Yeah.
Okay. But yeah, and I could understand that. Look at what the NFL is going through, with the CTE stuff, right?
It's scary stuff for sure.
It really is. It really is. Like Junior Seau, shout out to his family. There's all kinds there's a big list of players that have had CTE and had issues. And, we're talking about it. Then, there's this QB that, he does broadcasting, and he said that the immaculate reception was practiced. I don't know how you practice that.
How do you practice that?
Yeah. Shout out to the original TB12, played in the 70s, took some headshots. Great guy, fun to watch broadcasting wise, but, took quite a few headshots in the 70s there. Maybe he remembers it a little different.
Yeah. Now, did he retire recently?
No, the original TB12.
Terry
Bradshaw.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I feel like he retired. Not from the NFL, but from broadcasting.
Ooh, I don't know. He might have. He's getting up there in years, but he was one of the funner broadcasters to watch. So, it's like, I mean, he's not like Madden going away. That was kind of heartbreaking, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I grew up watching football and watching Madden, and every turkey day he's they're focused, like the game's playing in the background, but he's got the camera focused on the turkey, talking about the turkey.
Oh man. Oh, you know who I was thinking of? A totally random. Another broadcaster. It was Charles Barkley. Chuck is retiring from broadcasting, not Terry Bradshaw.
Oh, okay, I was just looking the guy up, and it doesn't say he's retiring yet. 75, dude. You can. Well, hold on. He played in the 70s, and they didn't make that much money back then, right?
No, not much at all.
So that would make sense on why he's still working.
Well, and even the guys that make a lot of money, a lot of times they give it to their friends and family, or they have an unscrupulous agent, or investment person who swindles the money, embezzles from them, whatever. So even the guys making a lot, it can go away very quickly with some few bad decisions.
That's true. Go buy like a Bugatti Veyron, right? Like, those cars are expensive.
Couple million bucks, yeah.
And just an oil change, for just the price of an oil change in one of those, you can literally go buy another car.
Yeah, I think the tires cost like 20 or 30 G's a pop. They're crazy.
It's kind of ridiculous.
Because they have to be able to go 200 miles an hour. So.
Yeah.
Or 250, really. I think is what those things go nowadays.
I think the new record, I actually looked this up, and I think they eclipsed the 270 mark
with a production.
I'm gonna look this up.
Yeah.
But I was very amazed when I saw it. I was going, no way they're hitting that.
I think Paganis are pretty fast too, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah, here we go. Bugatti Chiron. So they're past the Veyron to the Chiron. Super Sport, 300 plus, 305 miles an hour.
Yep. That's right.
Tuatara, 283. right, here's the Veyron. Now the Popper in third place, 268. Rimac Nevera, 258. Aston Martin Valkyrie, 250. McLaren Speedtail, 250. Wow.
That's insane.
So 2 of the top 3 are
305
both
miles an
are
hour.
Bugattis.
Wow. I mean, yeah, just there's not many places on the planet you can actually do that, though. Let's be honest.
Like Bonneville Salt Flats. There's one place. That's
Yep.
it. That I know of. I mean, I don't think there's any other place you could do it. That's not too far from you, right?
It's really not. A couple hours worth of driving.
Well, a lot less than that if you're going 305, David.
Hey, you can get there in less than an hour if you're going that fast. But yeah, did you know that they actually do the test? There's an airstrip that they do this test on, right? And I think it's in Italy, and it's kind of a weird place because the air on both sides of the airstrip is ocean, right?
Oh, wow.
I can't remember the name of the airstrip, but they do this test specifically on this airstrip because of its length. And that way they can kind of standardize it, and someone's not getting an extra half a mile to get a little more speed, right?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, those tests are done in one spot, and I was surprised to see that.
Well, the other thing about all that is that you have to, you got to go both directions, right? You got to go once one direction and once the other direction in case the wind's different or in case it's slightly not flat. I mean, I do that with my e-bike when I want to get a really accurate speedometer reading. I'll go, one direction full speed, and then I go right back the other direction full speed, and then you average the two.
Yeah, a lot of this that was funny. Oh wow. I looked up something that brought up that one virus test strips. I was like, what? But yeah, the salt flats is a good time, but you gotta, it's very regulated, folks. You can't just show up with your daily driver and take it out there. They're going to ask you how fast it goes, and then they have safety standards that go with that. If you go a certain speed, you have to have a roll cage, you have to have a helmet, and then you start upgrading to full roll cage, and then certified roll cage, and then helmet, fire suit. They will check your car too to make sure that it's actually going to make it safely.
Hey, speaking of all this racing and speed stuff, I met an interesting guy on Saturday night. I was at John Pay's birthday up in San Francisco on Broadway. And there was a guy there, this older guy who races funny cars, which is kind of like a dragster, but with more of a street car looking body. It's not really a street car. It's not made of steel or anything or aluminum like street cars. It's carbon fiber, but meant to look more like an old 60s hot rod. And his name is Weasel, and he's a plumber from South City. And he is all self-funded. He has no sponsor. And he is apparently the number one funny car driver in California against all these highly funded, sponsored, he's going up against Lucas Oil, these huge names.
Oh yeah.
The drivers fly in, and he's like, on your way back to the plane, you can tell him Weasel beat you. I was like, that's awesome. That's so great. This guy is, he was saying that he doesn't use nitrous, which some of those cars use nitrous oxide. He says it's all motor. And he says he gets about 50 runs on a motor before he has to rebuild it because all the rods and pistons and, everything are beat to hell. And a lot of chance of it catching on fire. And then, of course, he showed me his ring finger that was missing the tip because his car caught on fire, and he like pulled his glove off and took the tip of his finger with it, and it looked kind of like Ronnie Lott, to be honest. Oh, I guess Ronnie was his pinky, but it was interesting. Little story from Saturday night. Actually, there were some other interesting stories too. Tim McNiner was there, Toy Cook, a few other 49ers alums. There were 4 guys from Super Bowl winning teams that spoke, and it was pretty cool.
Yeah, I can't find the name of the airstrip, but it is. I'm looking at their rules, and they do a 2-way run down one way, and then they turn it around.
It's not legit if you don't do it both ways.
And then it's saying it's also saying that the manufacturer may take off the limiter on the top speed limiter on the vehicle for this test, but it will be sold with the limiter on.
Of course, makes sense. Kenny, he's nitrous in my lungs. Anybody thinking about doing nitrous oxide, and I did it. So this is one of those do as I say, not as I do or did type of things. I don't do it anymore. But keep in mind that the whole high or buzz or whatever you want to call it from nitrous is just that it goes into your bloodstream about 100 or 1,000 times more easily than oxygen does. So it literally just is like choking you out with a whippet or a balloon or whatever you use to take it. And so it's very much akin to being choked out in a wrestling move or something like that. So it's really, really bad for your brain. You're just cutting off the oxygen to your brain. So don't do it, kids. That's
right.
Yeah. Don't do what I did. I was young and dumb. I'm probably still old and dumb, but hey, at least I have some wisdom. So I passed out multiple. Yeah, that's what happens. You start to get tunnel vision, and then you pass out. Yeah, from nitrous. It's very much like pulling a lot of G's in a fighter jet as well. It's similar, but you don't have a G suit on when you're doing whippets.
Wow. Yeah, I've heard that stuff's bad for you. I've never partaken myself, but it being the 4th of July weekend, that doesn't mean try it, folks.
Please don't
do it.
Please don't. It's definitely that, and like huffing paint. They're just really, really bad for your brain. There's better ways to get a buzz that aren't so destructive to your long-term mental acuity, brain function. Dentist doing all day. It is nice at the dentist's office to get a little bit to relax you, for sure. I have used it there, but they mix oxygen and nitrous together, so it doesn't get you. It gets you a little goofy, but not like where it's like whoa. You hear that funny sound when you're kind of just about to pass out. Heat paint chips like our generation.
What? Hey, Kenny, come on now. Yeah, all this is what not to do, folks.
As long as there's no lead in it, right?
Hey, that's actually a thing. If you buy an old house, and you read the paperwork, you will see that this house may contain lead. And it's like, even if the house has been redone, whatever, they have to add that in, right? I live in an older neighborhood. Pretty sure if I tore everything out, I would find spots that actually have lead paint. Pretty sure.
Yeah, I mean, it's bad for adults, but it's really bad for young babies and kids in their formative years. That's when it's really bad. It causes birth defects and learning disabilities and things like that.
Yep. Back in the day, have you ever heard of the death clock, Ted?
The death clock?
Mm-hmm.
It sounds familiar. Was it a movie?
It was. It's a clock that they actually used to make back before they knew how bad lead was, and it was fully made of lead. So you know, you should Google search it. It's actually a very decorative piece. But
I bet you
many
can get
many
good deals
people
on them now.
that's exactly it. Well, many people have you know passed away from making this stuff, right? This is
Mm-hmm.
back before OSHA, before all the safety regulations hit. You know that back when they were learning their lessons about this stuff, right? Or we were, I should say, us humans.
I also remember people working in the factories where they had the glow in the dark stuff they put on watch numbers and watch faces so that they would glow in the dark so you could tell the time in the dark. And for the longest time, nobody knew that that was really dangerous too. And then people started dropping left and right from that too, I think.
Yep.
The death clock and the death watch.
Yeah. I mean, you know, these days they test everything, and now we have all the PPE in the world, right? And you know, I painted a whole bunch with very hazardous chemicals, you know, and I always have either a full face respirator on or a fresh air supply, pumping, you know, fresh air in my face from somewhere far away. But either way, folks, the lesson here is protect yourself, right? Look at what you're doing. Don't blow your fingers off because it is the 4th of July. I've already said that. And like my neighbors, my former neighbor, I should say, he moved. He had 8 kids, right? We're out shooting fireworks. And one of the tubes falls over and it shoots right at them. And they don't get up, they don't jump, they just sit there and watch it go on by like it happens every day. Right? And it goes off behind them. They're all just watching it like, okay, you know, it was like I was going, holy moly, you know. It's when I walked out there with bricks and you know made sure everything was weighted and held in place, right? But be safe, folks. It's all about being safe. Don't set the neighborhood on fire. Don't blow your fingers off.
Well, and like with the, you know, lead paint and huffing and nitrous and all those things, your brain doesn't grow back. Once you kill those brain cells, they're gone forever. So keep that in mind.
That's true. That's 100% true. Your brain is not like your lungs. You know, you can't smoke cigarettes for 20 years, quit, and then, you know, several years later, your lungs are all cleared up. Like almost like it never happened. Not quite like it never happened, but almost.
Yeah, I smoked for about almost 35 years. And then because of that, they allowed me to get a chest CT scan earlier than normal. And I got it. And then I was going to my physical a couple of weeks ago. My doctor says, "Oh yeah, we got to get you another CT scan. See if that nodule's grown." And I was like, "What nodule? What the? You guys never told me about any nodule." And she's like, "Oh yeah, I must have been out of town, and a different doctor read your results, and I guess they didn't call you." I was like,
Whoops.
And then at first I was, you know, pretty upset, as you can imagine. And then I was sort of like, I literally just in the conversation before that, we were talking about prostate stuff. And I was like, you know, sometimes I think the stress is worse than the disease itself. A lot of times the cortisol that your body produces when you're stressed out. And so then I was sort of thinking, well, you know, even if I had known, I couldn't go back and get another CT scan. Like I think they sent me the thing in April, so I was like really only, and this was June. I was only like 2 months behind where I could have got it anyway. And I was like, all right, whatever. And luckily, they got me in a couple of days. And the best news was the nodule hadn't grown, so they ruled out cancer. Not that I can never get cancer, I still could from all those years of smoking, but that particular nodule is not going to be the one. So anyway, It's kind of a weird medical story, but I was, like I said, a little ticked off at first, and then I was sort of like, actually, if I've been worrying for like a year about it, that might be actually worse. In this case, it would have been worse because there was nothing to worry about. So,
Yep. I smoked for 29 years. Quit when my dad passed, because he smoked pretty much until he passed at 63. I think he smoked for 50.
wow.
My grandma on his side smoked for, I think, 55, and neither of them passed away from lung cancer, though. That don't mean you need to smoke, folks.
No,
Every person is different.
No, and smoking causes a lot of other harm besides lung cancer. I mean, it causes plaque buildup in your arteries, so it can lead to heart issues, including heart attacks. So just because you don't die of lung cancer doesn't mean you didn't die of smoking.
Kenny, you do need brain cells. You really do. Yeah, you really do. I've met a couple folks that might be, 4 cans short of a 6-pack, but they're good people. Just don't let them try to open a window at your house.
Oh man.
Well, you got anything else? Like, what are you doing this 4th of July weekend? You got any big plans going on?
We're headed down to Carmel and then on to a road trip down to Ojai and Palos Verdes. So we'll kind of be gone till mid-July, most likely. So definitely next week is in jeopardy for the show.
Okay.
And the following week, I think we should be back. So.
Well, awesome. I'm going to barbecue at my buddy's house, 2 houses up. And then I'm probably going to disappear into the backcountry where the only way I stay at the top of the food chain is if I bring some weapons with me. So, nice. I'm going to go have some fun.
Nice. All about weapons. That's fun.
Well, believe it or not, I'm not, like, when it comes to critters, I'm not as afraid of a bear or a wolf as I am a moose. And sure. Anyone that has been to the backcountry should know this. Do not mess with moose.
Especially if they're in rut where they're mating. The male moose, the bull moose are very horny and agitated. And they're defending their territory against other male moose and anyone who stumbles across their way. So it's kind of like in Africa, you don't have to worry about the lions or the alligators or any of that. It's the hippos that are the ones that kill more people than anybody else. They're very territorial and they have kind of a nasty disposition. They don't eat people, but it doesn't matter once you're dead, right? They eat you or not. No, that's awesome. So that's very American. Get out and I'm assuming it's guns and not bows, but whatever.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. Get some gunpowder going that way. That's awesome.
Yeah, 4th of July weekend. I got a long weekend. I might as well go and enjoy some backwoods.
Speaking of bears,
I go far enough up there to the point where it'll literally get down to 40 degrees at night.
Yeah. Speaking of bears, I've been getting back into mountain biking, and I'm in a bunch of these mountain bike forums on Facebook. And there was a story out of Downeyville where there's a lot of mountain biking there, just outside of Sacramento, Placerville, near Placerville, where a lady was eaten by a black bear. A 71-year-old lady in her house eaten by a black bear, and they thought maybe that she had passed away of natural causes, and the bear just kind of came and cleaned up the mess. But then when they did the autopsy, they found out that the bear was the cause of death was black bear. And this is the first time ever in the state of California that a black bear has killed and eaten a person. So it was kind of a sad turn of events. There's so many bears now up there in Tahoe and, anywhere east of Sacramento up in the hills. you can't leave anything in your cars anywhere. Like when I went mountain biking outside of Truckee, I had a couple life, you see me pop these lifesavers all the time during the shows, and they're individually wrapped. But still, bears can smell. They have such a good sense of smell. It worried me to have those in my pocket. So, and then I'm like, I'm not leaving my car because I might tear my car open while I'm going to get it too. I'd heard stories of them breaking in over breath mints in a car. And so I just chucked them near the car and not on my pocket when I took my son trail riding outside Truckee. But, and then when we were riding in the video, you can hear me say to my son, like, he's like, why are you ringing the bell so much, Dada? There's no, walkers or bikers. There's no one out here. We hadn't seen anybody for like well over an hour on our ride. I'm like, well, son, I'm ringing the bell for the bears, because the last thing you ever want to do is sneak up on a bear unexpectedly where they don't know you're coming and surprise them, especially if it's a mama bear with her cubs. That can be problematic.
Oh, that could be very bad.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
For sure.
And I didn't know the black bear population out there is getting bad. I know people in New Jersey, like the New Jersey wilderness, is just covered with them.
Yeah, no, California. We're not in the Bay Area, but in the Bay Area we have a lot of mountain lions and coyotes, but no black bears in the Bay Area that I know of yet. It's all in the Sierras and like Yosemite, obviously, and stuff like that.
Hold on, Kenny. Why would I want to do that? Stay away from the Sasquatch.
Got to be the first to bag one, man.
Yeah,
you'd be a hero.
Yeah, it'd be like
legend.
I'd be all over the news. I'd
right.
be the most popular person in the world for a whole 5 minutes, probably.
Said sharks and Sasquatch don't like you.
That's right. But, and this is also true, Kenny, but, you just gotta stay aware if you're going to the wilderness, folks. Stay aware of your surroundings.
Yeah. Don't leave food in your car, and, make sure that when you throw things away, it's in a container that the bears can't get into, because they say a fed bear is a dead bear, because if they get food from trash, and they'll keep going back, and bad things will end up happening eventually, where someone will get hurt, and then they have to euthanize the bear, and it's a bad deal for everybody involved. Yes.
So, folks, basically the lesson is stay safe. I think it's time to get out of here. We got you got going on the rest of the week before your trip.
No, we're leaving tomorrow, so that's it. Then we got that, and then yeah, we're gone for a while. So probably won't be as much bike content, because I don't think we're taking the bikes to Southern California. So take a little break. Also, my calf is doing better, and I think by the time we're back from the trip, I should be ready to go back out for some scary trails, some of the blues and blacks, the fun stuff that I just put my knobby wheels back on for the first time today, but it was like to go to the Coyote Hills over in Fremont, and it turns out the hill in Coyote Hills is mostly just a fire road for bikes, and all the fun little looking, technical single track stuff is all hikers only. And then there's like a big bayside trail where you just go out for miles and miles and miles out by the bay. But it was the first time I had my knobby tires back on my bike in like 2.5 weeks, and just rocking the street tires and doing really tame stuff to let my calf heal up.
Can't blame you. Yeah. Still, when you're riding though, it's like rehab, right?
Yeah. Well, that was my thing. I was like talking to an orthopedist in my family, and I was like, when the football players get hurt, they go ride the stationary bike. So why can't I ride my bike mellowly, as long as I'm not like jumping off? Because I heard it jumping off to run up a hill. which is a long story. But bottom line is, I'd also gone to the pump track that morning, so my calf was tight from that, and I didn't stretch. So I've been doing more stretching as well. So hopefully that'll help. I used to do a lot of stretching when I e-biked 6-7 years ago. And somehow this time I wasn't having back pain, even though I wear a really heavy backpack with a battery in it. And I was just like, I kind of got lazy. I was like, oh, we'll just see how things go. And then popped my calf. And I was like, all right, time to get back to stretching a little bit more. But I know you want to get rolling here. So how about you? What you got going on this coming week?
Well, later on tonight, it's the big panel show. Corey Davis, 49er Wednesday.
Yep.
That'll be typical chaos and mayhem, right? And
any trivia
East Coast Red and Gold is going to have a call-in show today, folks. So here's your opportunity to call in and chop it up with them. That's in a little over half an hour.
Yeah, Jess, Ty, Maddie B, and Bex, all great folks.
Yep.
Check them out.
Yeah. Good opportunity to, hop on with them if you want to debate something with them. Maybe if Kenny wants to, chop it up with Ty again and talk about the definition of a reach. You probably didn't see it. Kenny's probably chuckling at me right now, though.
You mean a reach like Trey Lance?
Yeah, exactly. A reach like, just overdrafting a player. But
and I argued for so long that wasn't a reach, and
it looks like it. Well, you never know. Dallas has Dak for what? One more year.
No, I've given up the ghost. I'm putting that. Maybe it's someday he'll make me look better, but for now, I'm just calling it what it is. It doesn't seem like much hope that he'll ever amount to anything.
It really doesn't, but at the same time, he's in Dallas now, right? And with us, how Kyle works is the number one QB 1 and 2, they get the reps in practice,
right?
And the third QB doesn't do much. So when he was demoted, he's like, trade me, So now he's in Dallas where he's getting reps, and we don't know what's going to happen with him. We don't know what's going to happen with Dak. Dallas might just move on from Dak and say, here you go. Let's see what you got. You never know, though, right?
Never know. I guess it'll depend. I mean, this is his offseason to really prove that, because he really had no offseason with them last year, because by the time we traded him, it was preseason was pretty much over, right? There was like one preseason. There was the preseason game left where we played Dallas, right? Wasn't that it? Because there was talk of what if he plays against us? That's crazy.
Ooh. Might be QB2, huh?
I mean, I could see that. I mean, Cooper Rush is solid, but he's nothing special. Solid as a backup, that is, not solid as a starter.
Yeah, Cooper Rush. He came in a couple seasons ago and looked pretty good.
I think he went 5-0 or something like that.
Yeah, he looked pretty good. It was backup QB wise, he'd probably be an upgrade over most of the backups in the league. Oh, and yes, he's definitely getting paid. I think his contract for the season became fully guaranteed as of June 6th. But that's the Dallas Cowboys problem, not mine, right?
So, all right, speaking of Dallas Cowboys, then I got to ask you a question, David. Who gets signed first, CeeDee Lamb or Brennan Ayuk?
I honestly think the Ayuk contract will be done first. And Dallas is, probably negotiating with CeeDee Lamb, but they have multiple decisions to make about the current team and the current team's future, right? Because you got Micah Parsons. Has he signed a big contract? No. You got Dak Prescott's going to be a free agent at the end of the year. You got CeeDee Lamb that you got to take care of. They have some decisions to make. So see how it all plays out, you know. As long as we still keep beating them, then they can keep whoever they want.
Amen to that. I definitely have us beating them this year. So.
Yep. Well, especially Dak's still on the team. I mean, you know, my daughter, she's a Cowboys fan. She straight said, "We're never winning a Super Bowl with Dak." She said that years ago too. So
Smart girl.
Yep. All right. Well, folks, we're gonna get on out of here. And you know, it's always go 49ers, and as Corey Davis would say, F all 31 other teams.
Peace. Right? Peace and go Niners.